everybody. Welcome to the More Than Words podcast. We are the Aunties of Inclusion. I am Liz.
And I'm Shara. Woo, I'm so excited to see y'all today because I can't see y'all, but I see Liz, so that's y'all. You know what I mean? Liz, I miss you, girl.
Same. I know we were able to catch up yesterday for about an hour and a half.
First of all, don't tell nobody else because I definitely was doing other things and supposed to be doing other things, but allegedly just doing one thing, which was talking to you.
Not yesterday, but the other day. We caught up for an hour and a half. Is that better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't tell nobody else. Don't tell nobody, y'all. Keep that secret because I know somebody listening. One of our clients is listening. They was like, I thought she said she was in the meeting. I was.
We are. We were talking about critical meeting things.
We did. It was so many good ones.
There were so many things. They can't be privy to that, but we were able to catch up yesterday. We've been busy.
We have been busy.
How are you? I know yesterday we kind of caught up a little bit, but what else is going on? Like, how are you?
Girl, listen, why is the world burning? Like, what is happening here? It is so hot. Like, let's just get that out the way. So listen, I don't know what I know y'all been looking at our social media. So let me just go on record to say, at least one of those weeks when you didn't see us, Liz and I was busy in life. Okay. And the other pieces, it has been so hot here in Houston and other places that it has really been something to navigate. Now, listen, I know somebody's like, well, you knew you was going to Texas because I say that to other people, but I'm just saying I need some empathy and love. This 112, 113 every day is really changing how we socialize and navigate the world. So yeah, girl, I'm just out here trying to stay cool, maintain some cuteness during these summer times. I know it's winter on the other side for some folks. People are in the winter seasons. It's cool. But listen, if y'all are not too busy, just go on send some of that jet stream this way because we on fire over here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, y'all have to be careful and make sure you check up on your neighbors, check up on the elderly, check up on people with no AC because having no AC is not fun. And especially in those kind of temperatures. Yeah. Yes. But I'm glad you're looking cute because you are looking cute.
Well, this summer be summering, okay? Thank you. I appreciate you. Shout out to Chelsea who gave me this new look. This look has been really getting the attention that it deserves.
I love it, Chelsea.
I appreciate y'all. But real quick though, this is a real grown-up moment. Don't judge me, y'all. But if y'all got appliances, ACs, those types of things in your home, please make sure y'all warranties have been completed and up to date because too many people, AC and other shenanigans is going out and they realize they did not or their builder did not complete the warranties. I know this is really gross. I feel embarrassed for saying it out loud, but listen, too many people around me is having that issue. So this is just one of the public service announcements for them grown-ups, the growns who got to go do the grown-up stuff. So
I'm so proud of you because I'm over here with my pink Barbie nails and my pink Barbie lipstick and my pan dulce earrings and my I'm definitely not grown today. I even told my nail technician today, I said, "Oh, I'm not grown up to have like real nail polish. Like I need the gel stuff." But you got to put sunscreen on your hands first. And then, like I am grown up in that sense, sunscreen, but no, I'm not grown up to have regular nail polish.
First of all, did you say you went to get your nails done? Because I know it ain't the full day done. You did a midday nail. I love it. Tell me about your life. Give me more.
Because, I could walk to it, right? So I just walk and I come back, have my little cafecito and be like, hi, little neighbors.
First of all, I see all the things.
They already know. They're like, oh, you're the American. Yeah, they probably heard me first.
They heard you and heard your music and saw your colors. I know, because when I saw them clotheslines was plain.
Oh, I love that. I put on Bad Bunny outside. So Stuart and I have a fight going on. Okay. He turns on the TV and he puts cricket or soccer, football, any kind of sporting event. I turn it off and I put Alejandra on. I'm not going to say her name because she's right here. But I put Alejandra on and I'm like, Alejandra, play Bad Bunny. So now there's like Bad Bunny going, and I've connected all of them throughout the whole house. And the house is only like this little, but there's Bad Bunny going through every window. And my neighbor goes, Elizabeth, I love that music you put in there. It is so vibrant. She's a Bad Bunny fan.
Neighbor,
She's a Bad Bunny
neighbor.
fan. She's all like,
First of all, neighbor was like, okay, wait a minute, this what we doing? And then she was like, them shoulders start going, that
She's
spirit
like,
start moving. She was like, okay, I might like it before I go knock over the door. Okay. First of all, I love how she tried to let you put you on notice, but also give you some leeway to be like, well, keep it at that artist, but don't go too far.
Don't go too far.
Don't go too far, okay? Because when I come over, I'm gonna be like Beyonce, and then I'll be like, let's see if she can handle this Tupac. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding, but I was just saying.
But
maybe
but you're not. But definitely, she
I
started
put
that
my
one for
AirPods
sure.
on. She did when you working out.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else am I gonna work out to? Katy Perry? No, ma'am. Okay. I'm not working out to Katy Perry. Sorry, no offense. Okay.
Ooh, my stomach hurt. Your neighbor would be like, can they, those Americans? I'll be like, no, it's Liz. It's just Liz over there.
Americans. It's just Liz. That's just who she is.
But you've been taking care of yourself otherwise, though?
Yeah, man. I'm having the best time. We went camping the other day. So that was an experience. The one thing that I really, in this season of my life, and I really hope and pray that other people get to experience this, is like just kind of discovering yourself. And after so much change, so we've almost been here for a year. And I'm really stepping into how I show up and who I want to be, and the crap I'm not taking from people. And I've had to, separate myself away from certain people just to kind of discover who I really am. And I've always been that person. It's just, kind of gets diluted with things. I'm really enjoying this season of my life. And, I'm not allowing people, to your point yesterday, like not allowing people to put me in boxes. I don't care who you are. So period. And if there's any shade being thrown at me, like I'm gonna call it out. It seems a little aggressive, but
no,
it is what it is.
Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed
to sticking up for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, I really tell people, like recently I've told a lot of my clients, go back to trusting your intuition, because you have an intuition. And I always wonder and curious to see if other people feel this way. It's like, when did we stop trusting ourselves? And I think I brought this up in other episodes too, because it was like a topic that really resonated with me. But I feel like so many people, for whatever reason that they're going through or whatever happens, it's like we just stop trusting ourselves so much. And oftentimes, like when someone has something to say or they throw that shade, especially that like shady shade, that like it's a nice comment, but it's not really a nice comment. They're like, it's like a passive aggressive type comment. There's something going on with them. There's some insecurities happening and everything like that. It's like, that's not gonna happen anymore. No, it's not happening no more.
First of all, your confidence level is just giving me full life. When somebody starts talking to you in such a calm tone, they have moved past all the energy and they is who they gonna be. And that's the love I had right there. That's kind of like, you know what? This is who I am. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And whoever not here, you wasn't supposed to be here. I love that energy. I like, let's go. I'm feeling you, girl. I'm feeling all that confidence, though. No, it's no shade. It's what happened is our time is limited. And so if you haven't figured that out yet, after all we've done gone through the last 3 years, we got to choose wisely. And you choose wisely because, so many things are not within your control, which people tell you that when you're younger, you be like, I ain't listening to y'all. But now we there. So yeah, it really isn't. And so you're right, Liz, live full out. What we doing? So listen, I want to transition to the auntie moment because Liz got a guest and we got a guest and Liz been trying to be cool about it. So if y'all notice her tone has been like real chill, it's because she got somebody on the other side of this auntie moment that she's super excited about. So she trying to pace herself. I will tell y'all, Liz might cry. If Liz cry, y'all, I want y'all to give me all the emojis that got the little teary-eyed, the little smile with the one-eye tear coming down. Because Liz can't get through this without it. I told the guests that too to prepare them. But auntie moment, I'm gonna make it quick. So this is gonna go a little bit for all of those who are in Houston, Texas, or in any state of the 13 states that is fighting D&I, diversity, equity, inclusion programming for at companies, organizations who are literally saying that this work is some type of woke politics, whatever that means. But I just want to go on record that a couple of things. One, similarities and differences are always going to exist. So whatever title we use to talk about them, they're still going to exist. Second of all, if you are one of those companies that really are starting to think about pivoting what you have already committed to doing, you need to go check your values. You need to check in with your organizational values and who you say you're going to be, because you might be doing performative work in general around DE&I. And so you really wasn't about that transformational life, right? So check in with yourself, right? Thirdly, all your future employees and current employees are watching how you move. So don't think for one moment we have forgotten the commitments, the things that you said you aspire to, the things you say that are important to you, your organization, or your community outreach, all the things. We are watching, because right now, who you say you are and what you're about to do is going to decide if people stick around. And don't get it twisted, and don't let Forbes, Bloomberg, or any of these other articles tell you that people are sitting nervous about having a job. Go check the unemployment rate. People is not nervous. We can move very easily. There's a lot of entrepreneurship. People are not worried about that coin. Guess what? We live in, right? We have come through a serious time in our life, and we are the focus. We are centering ourselves and making sure that we are in places that value us. So if you're one of those companies who feel very nervous about this, check in with yourself, because maybe you really wasn't about this work and about this life of making sure people felt valued and recognized and important if they weren't upholding whiteness. So listen, welcome to the real work of DE&I. And so all my practitioners out there, hang in there. This is the ebbs and flows of DE&I. We've been going through this since forever, right? It's since civil rights, okay? So listen, this is our work. I hope you had your rest. If you haven't had your rest, make sure you get your rest and let somebody else move it forward while you rest up so they can pass the baton and they can rest. Like, this is what we in a relay, and we all need to be focused on it. So get your self-care, drink your water, take your collagen, fill your mind and your audibles with meaningful things that's going to fill you up and not overwhelm you. And let's stay in this work. And then let's watch all the people who say they was about this life show us who they are, so we know where we're not going to put our money, where we're not going to put our talents, and where we're not going to put our time.
A to the men. And I just want to say too, like, I'm glad you brought that up, Shara, because this might not be a popular comment, but there is an attack. But like you said, this work has always been around, right? We've always been attacked. And you know what? Okay, that's fine. But the disruption that's happening within organizations, this is the reaction to it, right? And it's like, are you going to react or are you going to respond? And it's like, if you are reacting in the way that you're pulling out to your commitments, yeah, to Shara's point, like, ask yourself why, right? Because the thing is, people are going to be people. And, we want to have meaningful, purposeful work. And we want it to show up in all places. And so, yeah, so this is as a result of the uncomfortableness that people are feeling and the disruption that's happening. Good. Like, we need a little bit of disruption. Right. So the people who are doing this work, yeah, take care of yourself for sure. Use your network, use us, right? Like, hop on to the More Than Words podcast, listen to all these amazing stories, because if you listen to all the episodes over and over and over again, because I want you to listen to episodes, but more than that, it's going to fill your cup. You're going to know that there are other people and you're not going to feel alone. Because when we get so deep into this work, and when people, especially when you have so many things pulling you from different sides, it's like you tend to say, well, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not going to make a difference, or nothing's ever going to change. We're always going to be like that. And it gets you into this negative mood. So fill your cup up. fill your cup up with good, joyful things that whatever brings you joy, fill your cup up.
Period. Speaking of cup, period. We about to transition to our guest, but one last thing. I've been on the circuit speaking to colleges, universities, and just different panels in the community. And let me just go on record to say, if you want future employees, just know this is the first question they ask me. Mm-hmm. Anytime we open up Q&A, no matter what my topic is, I'm talking about, the first thing is, okay, so what are you doing for your business, or because you do diversity, equity, inclusion work, what are you going to do in relation to how the politics is kind of moving in our state or in these 13 states or more? And I say this one thing, I say, I am doing the work that I have always been doing. And this is the work, right? Is to be in the space and be in uncomfortableness, and also work with organizations like the Urban League and other places who are working around advocacy and justice, to make sure that we are sitting here and making sure that no more things are taken away, and that as people continue to value themselves, that they can be in spaces where they're valued. And so we full steam ahead here at the More Than Words podcast and our businesses. So check us out. And if you're concerned about this, or you feel like you need some support, hit us up. But you talking to people who signed up for this. So if you're surrounded by people who don't feel comfortable, they seem unwavering, they feel like it's a lot at risk, find some people who feel like this is what we doing. So love y'all, but I had to give y'all the TTT for the auntie moment. So we're going to move to our guest. Liz about to introduce our guest. Listen, I told y'all, if y'all ain't get y'all a cup of coffee, maybe a little tissue, because I don't know, she gonna cry. If she don't cry, then okay, I owe her something.
You're a mess. She's a mess, y'all. Yeah, I probably will cry, just so you know, because I'm a cry. It's okay. It's good to cry. I was crying laughing earlier. Now I'm gonna cry. But all right. So I want to introduce this amazing guest. So the title of this podcast, that I'm pretty sure is making this person a little uncomfortable because he's humble, is called The Best Boss I Ever Had. And I don't know, I can't even do an intro. It's like I need to have like some kind of like intro music in here, something, you know.
But boom, boom. No, I'm just kidding. That's all I had. Like the club rap. Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna go back.
There was 3 artists on their favorite songs. There's Jay-Z, Luther Vandross, or Jill Scott. So we could do, an intro. But anyways, let me intro him. So we're gonna have Walt Latchley on, and he was my last boss that I had before I became full-time an entrepreneur. And I first met Walt maybe about 5 years ago, 4 or 5. It was right before the pandemic. We met. He wasn't my boss at the time, and just kind of introduced myself. I was in this project and I introduced myself to him, and just a cool, chill guy. I didn't know what to expect from him, but I was told like, hey, you got to go talk to Walt about your project, And immediately it was like I was the most important person in that room with him. And my project was dying a very fiery death. But even then, he asked me so many questions about it, curious. And then at the end said, whatever you need me to do, let me know. Keep me in the loop. I said, okay, cool. But like some bosses or some people were like, I didn't know him at that time, right? It's just kind of a fleeting kind of comment. They're like, yeah, well, it's open. My door's open, but it's not open. Then all of a sudden pandemic hit and I got put on his team. It wasn't my choice. I got put on his team. It wasn't his choice either. I got put on his team. Okay. So here I am, Liz, in all her glory. I don't like doing this, Walt. Like, I'm not doing this. This is too much. And he met me, and like we met during the pandemic, talking about what his expectations were. So he says, there are 3 things that I expect He named them out. I said, okay. He goes, what are your expectations? I was like, what? You're asking me? Okay, well, here are mine. Okay, great. And for the next, what, 3 years, 2.5 years that we worked together, not once did he falter on his commitment. So he said, this is my commitment, and this is your commitment, and this is our shared commitment. And this is also a person that I would basically go through fire for. I never wanted to let him down. And he didn't do anything. Well, he did something special because he didn't bring any ego into his leadership. He brought his full self, and he was an open book. And on questions about work, about everything. And it was just like, it was such a breath of fresh air to have someone like him be your champion. And whenever I said, I don't like doing this, this is not what I want to do, he said, okay, what would you like to do? And how can I help you get there? And I was like, but this time I already knew that he was committed, right? And sure enough, the first person that I told, which you're probably not supposed to tell your boss that you're not going to no longer be working here, that you're going to become an entrepreneur, was I told him. And the first thing he did was he didn't think about himself, or he didn't think about the things that were going to be needed. The first thing he did was he championed me. He says, I love it. I'm proud of you. What do you need me to do? How do you need me to help you? And it was just like that. And that's the reason why I call him like the best boss ever, because this is a true example of what, like, when we talk about inclusive leaders and someone who champions you and helps you grow and gives you those opportunities, not just like saying, oh, I'm going to help you grow, but actually pushes you to grow and gives you these opportunities. This is what I mean. So I want to ask Walt. That's a very long introduction. I apologize, Walt. But I want to ask Walt to come on the camera, unmute your mic, and come on the camera.
Yes, bring them out, bring them out. Hey, we don't got no music budget, but we here. We here now. Yes.
I'm here.
It's the man of the hour. Walt, you had to go through that. You had to listen to that. Ooh, welcome to More Than Words.
Thank y'all for having me. And I feel humbled. I feel so special being able to be a part of y'all's podcast and y'all's movement. And can I also say that y'all's auntie's moment gave me chills. I honestly think this is such brave and courageous and important work that y'all are doing. A lot of people are scared to have these conversations. But y'all are right there on the front lines trying to push this conversation forward. And I think that work is just wildly important that y'all are doing. So number one, thank y'all for having me. And Liz, thank you for such a warm welcome. And I agree. It was such a special time that when we were able to work together, and y'all made it easy for me.
See, I told you he keeps it humble. I'm telling you.
I was gonna say, how you gonna have an intro so humble? Like, don't humble us. Don't get us all humble. We the amped up people, right? Like, we brings it. Okay. So yeah. Walt, listen, because you don't listen to the podcast, listen, I gave you the hot tea on how this works. But ideally, we'd love to ask two questions to all our guests to say, listen, before we know anything else more about you, what are those top 3 dimensions that you got to see on the diversity wheel that really are important to you in this moment?
A lot of times it's the external dimension that's important to me. And depending on the time of my career, different factors have been more important to me than others. But I think that entire layer kind of gives you a window into people's decision making and their choices. right? Whether it's their work history, whether it's their educational background, whether it's their appearance, whether it, so many different factors on that layer give you an indication or kind of highlight people's decision making. And I like to kind of tap into the psychology behind why people made the decisions that they made.
That's so interesting because when you filled out your form, you really prominently put the thinking styles and as like a core dimension. And we've only had a couple of guests who really put that kind of as a priority. But when you think about that, how important has that been for you kind of in navigating the world?
It's wildly important because someone's thinking style and their thought process is going to help them manage any issues that they encounter on a daily basis. It's going to determine how far they're able to kind of push themselves when they meet adversity, and just people's thought process in general. You know, I think it's the core of people, how successful people are, right? It's the way you think, hands down.
And that is so consistent to like working for Walt, because when I saw that, I was like, yeah. And you, not only do you also kind of really admire the way you think too, in terms of work, and you always put people in the middle of everything. And working in the work that we were doing in accounting, the assumption is that there's not a lot of people in it, right? Like it's all about numbers and everything. And so I'm not surprised, because you pushed everyone to think, and you would ask these questions and they're like, oh, we hadn't actually thought about that. It's, it's very, very consistent with how you worked. I mean, that's how you first showed up, asking questions and, and also offering, like adding the people aspect of as well too. Like I said that in your introduction, like you always said, I'm here for whatever it is. Like, how can I support you? So, I mean, how did you learn to lead with so much trust? If that's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, thinking back when I first started my leadership journey, that's the way I wanted to be handled. And I had a very inspiring boss myself early on in my leadership journey, and that's how he handled me. And I think it was the most important thing anybody's ever done for me on my leadership journey, right? It's, if you identify somebody that you think is a good leader, it's trusting that person to use their own discretion, empowering them with enough authority to make decisions, and giving them enough autonomy to run things as they see fit, right? And then you kind of come in and just be a guide or just be of assistance to really help them find their own voice as a leader. You can't develop a leader if you're always jumping in, making decisions for them, telling them they should have done something a different way just because that's not how you would have handled it. That's not true development or true leadership to me. It's encouraging people to find their own voice, their own style, make their own decisions, and helping them learn from it. So I encourage decision making. I encourage people to use their own style. Whether you're, Liz, you were much more boisterous and full of energy and laughing all the time and really like to let your hair down and have a good time. While others may be just a little more, and I love that, by the way, Liz, and others may be a little bit more straight and narrow, right? And that's fine for two different leaders. But I think the most important thing is if leaders have like just certain core principles that they always keep with them at all times, right? Being objective, being understanding, knowing how to handle authority, like things like that are the true principles that make a good leader. And style, you just encourage people to kind of find their style around those principles.
Yeah, I mean, so true. Because like my counterpart was like my complete opposite, and we both thrived under working for Walt. And it's like, and I would come in there and be like, "Hey, everybody, welcome!" Like just who I am. And you know, it was like you gave the encouragement on both sides. Like you just allowed us to be us, and that is so difficult. I know you're very humble and you know you don't believe this. I understand this. But that really is a trait that is difficult to learn and difficult for so many people, because recently I think Gallup put it out there that it's like 60% of people don't want to work for their boss. You know, they quit their job because of their boss. That's huge. And so, yeah, I mean, I would have stayed an accountant forever, but you know, on to better things.
Well, first of all, we're glad that's done. No, I'm just kidding. I had to throw that out there because you know she wasn't gonna let that slide. I gotta let that be behind us. But two big things though. I want to give a shout out to whoever that leader was that gave you such an amazing experience that it really shaped your leadership and how you wanted to lead in the future. So shout out to that person. We love you. Thank you so much. This the time. Look, we're gonna have to bring them on and see what they doing. The second thing I want to acknowledge is you just gave us the master class of inclusive leadership, right? Like I know that was just your normal rundown, but those qualities, going back to the research, specifically Deloitte talked about less than 5% of our global leaders who are running Fortune 500 companies or 100 companies, less than 5% of them have inclusive leadership traits. And you talked about all of them. Like how you bring the similarities and differences into a space and leverage it for productivity and enjoyment and engagement and retention. Like you just ran us down on a masterclass on that, but that is one of the hardest skills, quite honestly. But I'm going to be remiss to ask. I have to ask. You know, we talked about the diversity wheel. We just talked about your leadership, but we have to talk about what are some of those stereotypes that you face in the workplace or around this identity or how you show up that you have to navigate.
Honestly, the stereotypes probably came earlier in my career, and probably everything that you would imagine that comes with leading as a young Black man, right? I've been fortunate to start my leadership journey like when I was in my late 20s, and it was people thinking that I couldn't articulate myself right well enough, or people thinking that they had to dumb things down for me, people thinking that they can trigger me in certain ways or that I would have a certain emotional temperament, right? So it was working myself through a lot of those stereotypes and wanting to stay on this journey. But you know, because you see, especially kind of where I'm from, I'm Houston, Texas, born and bred. Inner city, if you know anything about Houston, I'm from 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, right? That is definitely the inner city, Houston. And so there are certain stereotypes that come with that. People think you act a certain way, people think you speak a certain way, and people think you can't articulate yourself, or people think you don't have critical thinking skills, right? And I took that on as a challenge, and I wanted to stare all of those stereotypes in the face and run them over, quite honestly.
First of all, I love your energy. Okay, let's go. Yeah. All right,
it kind of came out a little bit.
Right. We resilient. Okay, listen, I got all that.
I was just gonna say that the thing is, like, because I grew up very similarly to Walt, right? Like Northside Houston, and that's the thing. It's the resilience that comes. It's like we had enough hustle to get out of our neighborhoods. We said, nope, and our parents gave us that autonomy. Well, I mean, I kind of fought my parents a little bit, but eventually they came around, right? Like they didn't want me to go to school. They're like, you need to go get married and have children and stuff. But I was like, nah, not today. But it's that resilience and that hustle. And that's what really makes like Walt a great leader in that sense, is that resilience, is like that fight to do better and want to do better and push others to do better, right? And it's also that love too, because in those two communities, in Northside Houston and in Third Ward, there's a huge community, like a love that's part. When you go back, it's like it's still there. I mean, my parents still live there,
Yep.
where I grew up. And it's like they're so proud of you, and it's like this amazing community. It's like we know what this love looks like, and we carry that not just in our personal lives at home, but we carry that within the workplace as well too, like that watching each other's back, like being there for one another, keeping up with our neighbors, like doing like just gut checks on people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's that core values, right? So once again, for you to that's the experience also as a person that grew up in the cities of DC. I'm just saying that's the beauty of the part of the story that's never told. And that's the horrible part about stereotypes, right? They're incomplete stories, right? We always love the struggle of it and that story of like overcoming, but the parts that you take away are like those core values that allow you to be successful no matter where you go from there on. So I'm just so glad that we got to see the shine come through. And then shout out to Third Ward and A-Leaf, because Third Ward, I still spend time over there. Okay, first of all, I know I'm not from the city, but I definitely be on Emancipation Avenue acting up in community over there by the row house. Shout out to Project Row House, okay, Dashi House, all of that over there in Crumville, because they take care of me over there. So listen, I want to ask one more thing before I pass it to Liz. So Walt, how did you grow your skin for the corporate workplace? Because when you talked about those stereotypes, like those are things that come up often. Like we all get something like, oh, it's the language. Oh, I'm not sure if they showing up in meetings. Like pick all the things, or oh, we too nervous about something that never happened, right? Like, ooh, scary stereotype. But no one ever talks about the skin that you have to develop to navigate corporate. And I just want to give you that space to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think a shout out to my parents that were my blueprint and were big. They really tried to educate my brother, my sister, and I on how to be resilient and how to fight through adversity. Specifically in the workplace, my parents were real big on educate yourself, and with the ultimate goal being to get up and make a living for yourself, get up and go to work every day. Like my parents got up and went to work every day, and I would hear the stories that they would share with one another in the kitchen while cooking dinner. And I would hear those stories and I would hear them vent to one another, right? But then by the time we sat down to eat and they had them a little glass of wine, it was like water rolling off their back, and they were ready for the next day. And they really spoke their way through their problems, and they really got up and showed up the next day ready for it all over again. I never saw them quit. I never saw them cower. My mom specifically always encouraged us to address conflict in the workplace, right? But in a healthy way. Speak up for yourself. Do it with a healthy emotional temperament, right? If something did make you uncomfortable, or somebody did something that you didn't like, address it. Speak to them, and you don't have to be you don't have to do it in a toxic way. And so it was that, seeing them kind of walk through life with that temperament really kind of helped us through our journey.
See, now, Walt, you got me chills. I'm about to start crying. Like, okay, that's so beautiful. What amazing things. And honestly, like knowing you, I know you have your two kids, and we've always talked about like our kids together, and your kids are in an older time than my kids, right? But you're taking that legacy not just in your leadership style at work, but you're also taking the legacy of your parents in your kids too. And that requires so much like empathy and vulnerability and just like a support system, right? And how did you, I mean, I know you learned that from your parents, but like what made you want to say this is who I want to be and that's how I'm going to take on that?
I think it was again such close nurturing from my parents. I really think they had a healthy balance of giving us enough landscape to find our own voices as people and being able to pursue what we wanted to pursue. But they gave us such a good blueprint of how to attack and how to approach life. And they were just two really emotionally healthy people. And I think seeing that, the consistency in that day in, day out, it's gonna have an impact on you. And I can remember my mom to this day actually trying to teach us the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? And trying to deliberately have us exercise those muscles, right? When a certain situation came up or somebody was going through a trying time, her kind of trying to trigger us to say, how do you feel about that? Like really try to get us to tap into how that person was feeling, right? So then it just kind of becomes second nature, right? And then the older you get, you kind of start to look at people's responses to that empathy, right? And it starts to be fulfilling for you, right? When you're empathetic towards someone and you feel like you've helped them through a trying time, right? That becomes rewarding for you as well, right? So I think again, shout out to my parents who I think naturally lived life that way, and I think it just had a paramount impact on me as a person, and it's inspired me to live my life the same way.
How did your, because I know you do this for your kids as well too. How did your kids respond to this approach to things? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Liz, it depends on the day, right? And I try to preach that same, or really try to live with that same emotional temperament. My wife and I do, and we try to yeah. It depends. It really depends on the day, because some days they're not having it. It's like, I don't want to hear that all that emotionally healthy stuff that y'all are talking about. Like, I'm mad. I want to be mad, and
Yep.
Yes.
y'all know,
Yes.
y'all know.
I was that kid. Whoever that kid is, that's my spirit. That's my spirit. Like, no, I don't want to talk about these feelings. I'm mad. I want to be mad. Yes.
Yeah. Like, so what? But like my brother always says, learning isn't linear, right? So they may not receive it in that moment, but it's the consistency of the message that you're giving them, right? That they'll be able to kind of exercise those muscles later and be able to kind of tap into those emotions later on down the line. And I think the older they get, I do think I do see I do see the benefit of my wife and I kind of trying to preach that message.
I love that. Like, I love that. Y'all need to rewind that back because, well, like the truth is like the parent side of it, as hard as it is, you're in the thick of it. But being consistent is in your approach, right? Like making sure you have your firm values, your core values, and that you're consistent. And that really is applicable to really everything. Parenthood is like very, very hard. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever done.
Yeah.
But I've learned that too. It's like I know what my core values are, and I know that I'm going to be consistent in that and how I'm going to show up with not only myself but to them too. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be like showing up a different person. You're like, oh, I don't like how I showed up there.
Who that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love this conversation. So it's interesting, right, to hear you jump between all the different roles, right? Like we've had a chance to hear about Walt as an employee with an amazing leader. We got a chance to hear you as a dad, but then you shared the story about your parents. So Walt as, a son, and then now a story about your brother, right? And then of course being a father and a husband. So these are all roles that you have in your life that are important to you, that show up in some way. There's somebody right now listening and is getting super inspired either through your leadership story or your personal story. But what are some things that you would tell somebody who's aspiring to kind of be a leader, not just in a company, but in general, wanting to show up more as a leader in their life?
Yeah, that's a dynamite question. My advice would start with a lot of self-reflection, right? If you really are genuine about wanting to go on that journey of leadership, and you do want to lead people, I think it comes first with checking yourself on a variety of different avenues, right? Um, Looking at your own personal relationships with people, right? And how you handle people, right? Checking yourself how you handle authority, which is one of the biggest things that I think can make or break a leader, right? Or do you crave authority? Do you have to have it? Do you always have to be the one making the decision, right? If so, leadership probably isn't for you. If you want to be a good leader, anyway, right? Kind of tapping into whether or not you did like dealing with the different personalities of people, because some people don't, right? Some people may fool themselves and thinking they want to be a leader, but they kind of just want to maybe sit in front of their desktop or laptop all day and kind of not here for the ups and downs and the emotional swings that people have, right? So it's how often do you get triggered? How often do you get frustrated, right? Do you bounce? Can you bounce back from some of those emotional triggers? And then how well do you communicate, right? Listening and speaking, right? When you listen, are you listening just with the purpose of trying to hear somebody else stop speaking so you can get your point across, or are you intentionally listening, right? And how well do you communicate, right? When you communicate, do you often feel like people received your message the first time, right? So I think it's really a lot of self-reflection and a lot of self-check, a lot of work that has to be done internally before you want to go in and start that path on the leadership journey.
Well, first of all, listen, we didn't ask you to come here and do this masterclass like this. This is our podcast.
I was just gonna say, anybody want to book Walt Latchley? I'm his manager.
I just want to just tell you that we don't have to be here, Walt, if you want to finish this off for us, right? Like we could just give you the theme song to end this whole thing. So first of all, Walt, I joke, but I'm not joking because we're going to call you for our conference in 2024. But I will say this, we need to hear this voice. And honestly, as a Black woman across looking at a Black man say this, it's very so much aspiring because there's so many different voices out there that are saying all the other things. And to hear you in an inspirational light, to hear your lived experience, your confidence, and your inclusivity, meaning it's not just about me, it's about us, whatever us means, based on the audience you're talking about. We need more of this. We need more of this. And we need to, I'm so glad our listeners are getting access to you. I also want to thank you because a lot of the things that you said, I can see over the time that I've been, Liz and I have been working together. I mean, Liz and I have a lot of different lives that we live together, but the part of this life, right, this D&I journey, in her this leadership journey, I see a lot of the things you say show up in her. So if nobody has ever given you your flowers, I will say that what you say and what you do is contagious in a positive way. And I see it being the very thing that whoever is get exposure to you or had exposure to you, I hope they took that away, because there's not very many leaders, like Deloitte said, less than 5%, who can do it. And so, this is it right here. You shining. Okay, I just gotta tell you that. You shining out here.
Thank y'all so much.
And Sherry, like you hit it right on the nail, because when we talk about like representation matters, it really matters, because everybody talks behind the boss's back all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just what happens.
You're not a good boss if you don't get that, right?
Right. But the thing is, though, our conversations about our boss was like, wow, like, because your whole team have very similar, we're all different styles, different people, but we all were connected through this similarity. And it's like we all had that resilience and that hustle and those lived experiences. And we were all in industries where there were people that didn't look like us, that didn't act like us, that didn't have the background like us. And we saw you were like, we can make it too, y'all. Like, we can make it too. We can make it. And not only that, not only could we do it, but we didn't have to forget about who we were in the process.
Bingo. Yep.
We could do it in that authentic way, in however we wanted. We didn't have to be somebody we weren't. And also, too, we all had families, right? And so that's one thing that I really learned from you. And to this day, like in my journey through entrepreneurship, I could work 24/7, but I always have Walt in the back of my head, because oftentimes we give more to our job than we do to home.
Yep.
But you are very adamant with all of us on always checking in at home base, like saying, how is it at home? And making sure that you're consistent and showing up in the same way, not just at work, but at home too.
Yep.
How did you learn how to do that?
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been tougher at times throughout my career to try to maintain that balance. So a huge shout out to my wife, who's made that balance easy, right? So when I am giving a little bit more of myself, or when I was giving a little bit more of myself to work, she would pick up the slack around the house with the kids and not make me feel guilty about it, right? And it's having that type of support in your life that does make managing home and work so easy, right? And it makes me want to reciprocate, right, as well. So when she wanted to teach, or when she wanted to become a real estate agent, or when she wanted to go back to school to get her master's, it was, hey, I got it. Do what you got to do. Give yourself to that. Give yourself to whatever you're aspiring to be right now, and I got your back. So I think a support system kind of makes the home work balance dynamic easy. So a huge shout out to my wife right now.
So listen, I can't help it. Listen, I ain't married, so I'm gonna ask this question though. But what would your wife say? That was a good answer. But what would your wife say about this question about the leftovers? Because I'm intrigued now. I'm getting messy. Now.
Yeah. She would say some years have been more than others. But again, a credit to her resiliency for putting up with me as I've tried to kind of climb up the corporate ladder over the years. And I hit a spot in my life where I kind of felt like I was giving a little bit too much to work. And I think it did have negative effects on me personally. So Liz, that is why I always preach, y'all get away from here. Hey, y'all get away, take that laptop, throw it in the closet. Don't even think about work. Go home, recharge your battery. But yeah, just my wife is an extremely special woman who's put up with me over the years. I'll say
We
that
need
much.
to have her on the podcast,
I
Sharon.
was
She
about to say,
is incredible.
Yes.
I've
we
never
gotta talk
met
to
Walt's
her.
wife, but I've heard of her.
We
Her legacy
got.
continues.
I ain't gonna lie. I was like, listen, we need to do a live with her. We gotta put her and Walt on. I'm like, let me talk to you for 2 seconds because I got
That's
questions.
right.
Okay.
We should have had a split screen when I was
We do.
giving my answer with my wife. Yeah, so
We
she
See if they're
listen when
consistent answers
listen
together.
when she listened to it. We want all the commentary. We're gonna have to just throw it up one more time and record it. But I will say this: I cannot. I want to first of all thank her, right? Thank all your support systems for showing you what it looks like because we are in a moment where everybody's trying to figure this out. Like it's not a secret anymore. It's not a like you know, we hear all these things like, oh, it's 50-50. No. Everybody operating at 100. So what does 100 for you, 100 for me look like, right? Yep. So I'm so glad you're having this conversation because I think so many people are trying to figure that out because traditionally, specifically corporate environments have said somebody has to be focused on more prominently than another person. And so you can't be both. You can't be dual career. You can't be, they put all these things that kind of have been traditional practices that we are breaking, we're tearing that up. We're like, oh no, we ain't doing it this way. And that's not how this gonna work. So I'm so glad to hear all of the pieces of your support system because somebody right now needs it. But I want to hear, we got 2 juicy questions because Liz and I are all about, first of all, Liz's favorite word is joy if you can't tell, because, that's just what she do every day. I don't know how you work with her in close proximity with them spreadsheets and her joy level. I don't know. I was glad to be on a different floor.
Because his joy is spreadsheets too.
I do. That's right.
Yeah. No. You learn those spreadsheets too? Oh my gosh, she worked me so hard.
You know what? Whenever we'd go on vacation, he'd be like, "All right, Liz, what do you got? What do you got on deck? Like, what do you want me to do?" I know secretly he really wanted to handle our spreadsheets. Like, I know secretly he was like, "I can't wait to get into those spreadsheets and formulate it up."
Yeah.
Whoa,
that's just a small part of my. Just a small part of my joy. Yeah.
Oh no, not those Excel spreadsheets and macros and pivot. I said, get out of here, Liz.
Yeah.
Liz tortured me behind the scenes with them things. I'm telling you, it's horrible.
I can imagine. Listen, us accountants, we would always joke and say, the things that make us accountants happy would be so weird to other people. So yeah.
Yes, I want to tell you that is true. Oh, I wouldn't even want to know the list, but if it's anything to do with those spreadsheets and all them formulas, yes, I can't take it. Okay. I can't wait for we could get the app or the AI to do it for me. Okay. So here's the question. We don't talk a lot of joy is a very important word to Liz. Also, something we've as a More Than Words podcast is a part of one of our values, like how we look at people we want to work with, and oftentimes, more specifically, we talk about Black boy joy or Black man joy and those types of things. Like joy is never in the context with things that have been stereotyped pretty negative in our society. But we want to talk about joy and hear from you. Like, what brings you joy?
Yeah, I think my family, for one, kind of hanging around the house with my wife and kids, and just soaking up their energy really helps reset my system, recharge my battery. And I'm huge on family, so not just my wife and kids, but anytime I get to spend time around my brothers, my sisters, my aunts. I have, like, my dad's side of the family is enormous, and they get together. Some people would probably be annoyed by how much they get together, but I'm here for it. Like, so, anytime I get to spend time around family, loved ones, just hanging out, eating good food, good music, that really brings me joy. It's really just those simple things, not not material things, more or less, but it's really just hanging around good, genuine people and soaking up their energy.
Wait. You can't talk about that family gathering. So is it Uno or Spades? If we gotta, who are you?
Good question, Sheriff.
Any card game you can think of. My family plays pity pat, poker, spades, left, right, center. Like we will go in the back sometimes for horseshoes.
Horseshoes.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Okay, so what? We need the invitation to the cookout. But second of all, okay, so do people pick you?
I should just drop that in there.
Their space. I'm trying to see. Okay, if all these spreadsheets is helpful when it comes to picking a spade partner. People picking you, Walt, or you kind of on the sideline watching the game? I'm just saying.
No, they're picking Walt.
You think so?
Accounting helps with the spades. Oh, for sure.
Oh no.
I'm gonna get out on some spades. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have to bring somebody else to co-sign that. I don't know. I can't feel these spreadsheets. These spreadsheets don't giving me the feels like I'm picking y'all for my spade partner. I don't know. I'm about to see what happened. Liz, we talk about being. I don't know. Something about those formulas and that structure. Spade is like you gotta fill it out.
Yeah, it's not really giving spades playing, is it?
Yeah, y'all not giving no energy, but that's okay. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. So self-care, Walt. So, other big thing, right, is self-care. And so oftentimes, once again, we don't hear a lot of conversations. It's been so dominated by women. And in the past, really, white women has really dominated the conversation around self-care. And we're starting to really hear more voices around self-care. And so this is an area that we haven't often heard, a male perspective, and specifically a Black male perspective about self-care. So, of course, Liz wants us to make sure we hear what your self-care journey is and could share with the audience.
Yeah, I think it can come in different forms, right? Anything that'll kind of help take my mind off of work, help take my mind off of what's seemingly an endless list of responsibilities for me and my wife to handle. So it can be something as simple as binge watching a good show with my wife on Netflix, right? Something like that. On my couch with the whole slate of NFL games and some good food, a good date night or a good poker night with the fellas, maybe about 7 or 8 of 7 or 8 of us to get together, good food, a few cocktails flowing, a little music. We'll play poker all night, and that's really, really relaxing to me. So yeah.
See, where it's like poker's like super stressful for me, like that.
I was about to say, my arms was getting high. I was like, poker feel like I'm losing money.
Oh no, I love it, and it's a friendly game between me and my boys, but it's relaxing, and it's a real easy way for me to kind of take my mind off of life's stresses. Yeah.
Like the consistent theme in today's thing, and kind of like through your life too, and how you show up is like your community. I feel like that's something that like work community, your home community, your friendships, like being surrounded by those people that really uplift you and inspire you and are there for you through thick and thin. I definitely can see that, not just in at work too, but in your personal life too. I think that's so special, and something that we really talk about is like finding your community, finding the people that are gonna not only like be there for you, but also make you better too.
So one thing, I know we're about to close. Yeah, I know we're about to close, Walt, but I want to ask one last question. Boundaries, right? So you said before that, you navigate these stereotypes, which oftentimes specifically men are seen as aggressive, and then you add the layer of all your other identities, right? But how do you, if community is such a core value, right? And these roles that you play and the roles that others play in your life to fill you up, to give you joy, to embody all the things that you value, like how do you hold boundaries to make sure that the things that you really value are protected?
Yeah, I think it's just standing firm anytime something you value is in jeopardy of being compromised, right? So whether it's an unhealthy work-life balance, right? Then it's time to speak up to it, whoever it is you're reporting to. And like I kind of go back to as a kid, and my mom encouraging me to confront those type situations, but doing it just in a healthy tone, in a healthy way. And it's really just expressing those frustrations, or expressing whatever it is that you feel like how someone is crossing that boundary. And I'd say another one is I think when a big boundary for me is respect also. And I think that's something, because that's something that can be so easily given, right? And that's a big boundary of mine. If I feel disrespected, just blatantly just disrespected, or if someone on my team or someone in my tribe or community is being disrespected or being treated unfairly, right? I gotta speak up and let people know that there's a boundary there, right? And like I said, you don't have to do it, and you don't have to raise your voice all the time. You don't have to be toxic about it. But I think just highlighting when someone is crossing that boundary, a lot of time for reasonable people is enough for them to respect that boundary.
And Walt, like, you really do show up that way. I mean, I think one of the examples that I had in that sense, like, I needed you to be an ally for me and to show up in a space where I was kind of, I didn't know how to navigate in a space. And
Yeah.
I asked you up front, I said, like, give me feedback about me, right? And like, tell me, and you laid it out. You're like, this is what I would have done differently. This is where, and when you showed up in that space as like an ally to me, it's like, that's exactly what it's like, is that respect that, follows through, not just for yourself, but also like for the people that are closest to you. I mean, that's huge. Well, and I've never told you thank you, but thank you. Thank you for just who you are and how you show up, and like, oh, there they come. Yeah, you're right. No, but seriously, like, I've never really thanked you because we were kind of in the thick of it. And I've always said, like, oh, thanks, Walt, you're such a cool guy, like, whatever.
Mhm.
But seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I mean, we usually end our show with like a reflection, but for me, this is something so personal because it was pivotal in my life. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but it was pivotal. It kept me kind of close to my own values, to like look at myself and say, am I showing up how I really want to show up?
Sure.
If I talked to myself when I was younger, like, and I looked up who I turned out to be, is like, is this who I wanted to be? Did I go through all of that hustle and the resilience and the things that we went through to then not show up authentically me, and like to my allowing people to mess with my value system? But I just want to say thank you, because your example, I know you feel like you didn't do anything special, but your example really like resonated with me and with so many other people. And yeah, I'm proud of you. I don't think you hear that enough. As a leader, you probably don't get that enough. Like, I am proud of you through and through, and you are going to just continue impacting the world.
So we're gonna make you more uncomfortable, Walt, because I'm gonna say something now. So listen, first of all, we're wrapping up as far as our reflections, and I want to just say, one, thank you, Black man. Right? As a Black woman in this world, oftentimes, you never know where your safe places are, and thank you for being who you are, and living your family values. And your core values. Thank you so much for talking and honoring your parents, your wife in such a way, and your kids. Shout out to the zesty one, because I know that spirit.
Yeah.
I I feel all those things, and I want to acknowledge it in this moment because we spend so much time talking about protection and not protected. And I want to just acknowledge you for what you create, because I am a benefactor of the things that you instilled in a person. Liz is my hermana. Like our podcast more than likely would not be here if she did not go through that journey of having someone supportive, allowing her to be vulnerable, really allowing her the space to continue to grow and be more authentic. And the person she is a part of the experience she had with you. And well before I got to know you, I knew who you were. So I just want to throw that out there, and I want to acknowledge you and thank you for that. I also want to give a shout out to your community. Like all the names you said and did not say, thank you for raising and supporting someone who's able to continuously light the path of people who need someone to show them that they should take up space and not dim their light or their skill, and to be exactly who they are. And not often do we have those conversations. And on the other side of that is this a Black male who's so strong in their values. So thank you so much for that, because her kids, my whatever's one day will all get to benefit from all of that and have a good example of that. And this is going to continue through all of our families and our friends and our tribes, those values that have been lit up and now a part of who we are. So I want to pass it to you and take the spotlight a little bit off. Like, we give you all the shine. Okay, feel uncomfortable about it. But is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
First of all, thank y'all for having me. Liz, I want to extend my gratitude to you as well. I learned from you and was inspired by you just as much as you felt like you were by me. So I think I learned a ton from you in how fearlessly you approach things. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Us having to figure out if you had to put your hoop earrings on, if there was if there was a problem. I remember those days. It was like it was yesterday. It was a very pivotal time for me in my career and in my self growth as well. So I want to tell you, I want to give you a special thank you as well, just for you being you. And once again, I can't say enough how honored I am just to really be a part of y'all's movement and to be a guest on y'all's podcast. Again, y'all please keep speaking louder and louder and louder. About the conversations that y'all are having. It's important work. It's conversations that people are trying to cower from right now. But I say keep y'all's foot on the gas, keep being brave, and keep being who y'all are. And I just want to thank y'all again.
Thanks. And mic drop. Y'all listen to Walt now. Okay, because my hoops are coming for you.
That's right. Thank you, Walt, so much for being a guest. Thank you so much for making the time for us. This was so important to Liz. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know this is a big core memory for her. So I want to thank you so much for all the things and for taking the time today, because I know it took some, it's a lot of support systems that make all of this stuff happen. So
absolutely.
Yeah, all right, y'all. Well, thanks, Walt. Thanks so much for coming on. You guys follow us at morethanwordspodcast.com. See y'all later.